They don't tell you this, but your ad accounts, they kind of build a relationship with these platforms. And the more you're running, the more data you're sending through, you're building like a strong relationship saying like, this account's good. They're doing like best practices. So in some cases, you might get served a little bit better. I let most brands handle the content creation just because I feel like that needs to be an internal thing. It's more creative. It needs to come off more genuine. You don't want to force it out. I've noticed a little bit when you pull back spend, you throttle the account a little bit, and Facebook's still trying to find you those purchases. You can't always necessarily buy out your competition. You got to just accept that there's a finite number of people out there who want your product. So you can't force it.
This podcast is brought to you by Bambassadors.com, the go-to platform for e-commerce brands to create video reviews that boost social proof and sales on TikTok and beyond. Get your first video review created and posted by a genuine creator, completely free, no strings attached, and no credit card required at Bambassadors.com.
Welcome to the EcomXFactor podcast, where it's all about launching and scaling your business using sales funnels, automations, and smart marketing. And now, please welcome your host, the founder of EcomXFactor, Yaron Bin.
Hi, Kenny. How are you?
I'm doing great over here. We're getting a little chill in Florida, but it feels great. It's a nice change.
It's 7:30 over there. So you told me that you normally wake up at these hours?
Yeah, maybe like 7:30. It really just depends on what we have going on. Obviously, if we have work to attend to really early, I'm going to be up. But I like to take my time in the morning, kind of plan out my whole day, list everything I need to get done, and then plan the work and attack it.
The majority of your customers are US based?
Yes. So almost everyone's US based. I worked with a couple clients over in the UK, and then almost kind of like some nomads like yourself.
Awesome. Cool. Can you share a bit about your agency and your background story and how this all started?
Yeah. So my agency is Great Media. It is a pun on words. My last name's Gray, like the color. So Grayt. It was definitely last minute, and then it just kind of stuck. So it was kind of easy. I didn't want to dwell or spend too much time on the name. Yeah, in the digital world, I got out of school. I was looking for anything, and I got a job with NBC Sports at the Golf Channel, where I was running the YouTube channel and doing Google Analytics and reporting to the higher ups. Mm-hmm. So I had great managers. They taught me a ton. They taught me a ton about interpreting the data, which really helped down the road. And then from there, I worked with a small agency where they allowed me to media buy at first. That was kind of just second nature. Again, coming back from interpreting the data, it came from huge when you're trying to, buy ads. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I just wanted to do a little bit more. So I started running email. I started building Shopify stores. I started kind of coming up with the whole strategy. And, basically I was just, pulling all the levers that I could to help out our clients. And eventually I just got to a point where, I was like, I think I could do it better myself. And I like the autonomy and be able to do things the way I want to do them. So I was lucky enough that I had a few great connections, a couple clients stick around with me to kind of carry the ship, so to speak, for a little bit. And then I just kind of have been expanding ever since. Definitely from relationships and referrals have been really strong. But, it just kind of came second nature to me, and just kind of been being curious in the digital media world and just trying to build upon that.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Sounds great. Can you elaborate a bit about what you learned in NBC and especially in the YouTube realm? Because I'm wondering what exactly did this guy do and what was the focus over there in opposing to what you're doing these days, which is more e-commerce. So it's not exactly the same game. So can you share about the difference?
You know what? It's not so much a difference. I think it's funny because, like I was saying, I was doing a lot of the analytics and the reporting and interpreting that we would do, a weekly meeting, just, these articles did well. And then just kind of forecasting the future weeks, just, we have this tournament coming up on this day. We have these players and, the search results may come XYZ for this particular golfer or event. So as we're all dealing with this year is attribution. When I was with the Golf Channel about 6 or 7 years ago, it was all about attribution. It was like, are they on desktop? Are they on mobile? Yeah. What source did they come from? Was it organic? Was it paid ads? What app did it come from? And now more than ever, I think we're really focusing on, is my Facebook reporting right? Am I getting everything attributed to the right channels? Can I even pick the right winners? So I say the main difference, or not even any difference, I went from reporting to kind of being in the weeds and running everything. And now I'm back to reporting, and that's almost a heavier focus during the week. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of full circle at the moment.
Awesome, great. And when you say reporting, can you explain exactly what is the scope of reporting, and do you have any best practices that you picked up lately in order to optimize this reporting?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess we can't really see all our conversions coming in anymore. So that's a huge issue when we're trying to pick out winners. What we can see is in-app data. So specifically with Facebook ads, we can't see the conversions from add to cart, initiate checkout, or purchase. So we can't even see what the ROAS is. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you got to pull back a little bit, and you got to look at your CPMs. You got to look at your CTRs. You have to look at, how much, the CPCs, everything. Mm-hmm. So this kind of gives you a little bit more accurate reading on, the cost of your traffic at least. Mm-hmm. And it seems like a lot of people are going off of MER lately, mm-hmm. Which is a little bit more old school in my opinion. And it's pretty much, money coming in versus money going out. Mm-hmm. So we're kind of shifting in that light, just to say, hey, we ran all these campaigns and we saw, a 20% increase in revenue over the last couple of days. Mm-hmm. So, we can't see it. We can't see that hard data in the platform, but we can, safe to say that more than likely these campaigns are producing. Obviously, we're using UTMs, we're using Google Data Studio, we're using programs like Hyros, but honestly, everything I've seen has not been 100%. So it's a little bit of a guessing game, but also you're still just following the data.
I was considering to buy Hyros, and I wasn't sure if it's really a game changer. What was your experience with them?
It is a little technical to set up at first, but what it can do, it adds another layer onto your Facebook platform, and you can it's easier to pick winners. So maybe there's some data missing. It doesn't capture it 100%, and that could be from the initial setup or how we have everything running. There's multiple touch points where you got to add some dynamic code and script to your UTM parameters. And then you also need to connect it to your Shopify store in most of these cases that I'm working with. Mm-hmm. So those platforms speaking to each other is really important. But it does help when, you want to cut off a certain targeting campaign, or you want to turn off certain ads inside of an ad set. You can kind of get a more granular look like, oh, you know what, actually, let me not turn off this ad yet because Hyros is telling me it does have 4 sales versus the 0 that it's reporting over the last 3 or 5 days. So it's great. I think you really need to get somebody in there who's a little bit more technical savvy if you're not that person. But I thought it worked out really well. And the clients are really happy too. And honestly, it's all about making the revenue, right? So that's what it's allowed us to do in these particular accounts that we're using it with.
Awesome, great. And just to clarify, Hyros doesn't help with sending more events in order for the algorithm to optimize. It just helps with regards to reporting and attribution. Am I correct?
That's my understanding. Yes, attribution and matching the UTM parameters with your campaign.
Mm-hmm. Cool. This is what I thought as well, and I think it's not so clear. Many people might think that tools like Hyros, or I think there is also like a cheaper tool which is called Wicked, that they actually can help you optimize, but I don't think so. It's just like an attribution tool. With regards to UTM, so I just had a coaching call with a few of my clients, and I told them that I'm using mainly UTM source, UTM medium, and sometimes UTM content. And I was wondering, what are you guys doing? So am I not being professional enough, or are you guys using more UTMs?
No, that's actually exactly what I stick with as well. And even when we were at the golf channel, source medium, when you get into Google Analytics, that's going to be a lifesaver. It's going to really give you a lot of insights. But I always include that, and you don't even need to use the dynamic tags in there. It's really up to you and what kind of how granular you want to get with your reporting. But I might even just do Facebook ad for my source medium. Mm-hmm. And then say for this past week for Black Friday, it might just say, BFCM or BF sale, whatever it might be, just so I know it's attributed to those specific campaigns or promos. But the only issue is, again, they're not 100%. I love seeing the UTM pop up when every order that comes in for Shopify, but I could still tell that we're missing a few. But yeah, I try and keep it as simple as possible. That way, when you open it in analytics or whatever metric reporting system you're using, it all is pretty simplified.
With regards to Data Studio, so this is a tool I never use. So can you elaborate about the advantages of Data Studio? How are you guys utilizing the
Data Studio is an awesome free tool. So definitely things to learn that I need to learn a little better too. Tag Manager and then Data Studio, because it will pull in everything. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can even connect your Hyros. I have to talk to my analytics guy about that because we want to get that going for another client. But it's excellent for reporting. It's very simplified, straight to the point. You can make multiple pages of an overall rundown, your Google Analytics reporting, your Facebook, your Bing ads, your Google ads, however you want to kind of divide it up. It's great for reporting, especially with your clients. It's one of those simple little things that will woo them and just say, oh, wow, okay. Because it's one of those things, unless you let them know what you're doing and how you're doing, then they don't think you're doing anything at all. So Data Studio does an excellent job of just pulling all the data from all your platforms, and then it makes it easier for you to read.
Maybe I will test it out. And for sure, Google Tag Manager I know many people overlook Google Tag Manager as a kind of postponing, playing around, messing around with Google Tag Manager because they have the Pixel and they have the Universal Analytics installed by Google Analytics. But basically, Tag Manager is way more powerful. And I think it's even more simple than people imagine. I did like 2 courses about the Tag Manager, and I got the idea pretty fast. But at the beginning, it seemed very complicated.
Oh yeah, no, it came off very technical to me too. I was like, all right, I'm going to need to call in some backup here. But yeah, you're right. It's very powerful. And one of the clients that we're working with, we have an actual developer. So he comes up with custom script where he can tag it into buttons specifically. So you don't have to worry about cross attribution.
Nice. It sounds good. And if you want, there is a YouTube channel, or the listeners want, there's a amazing YouTube channel that is called Measure School. And this guy shares a lot of stuff related to measuring and Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager, and he has amazing, great and free content. So I highly recommend that people check that out. Before we started the call, we spoke about what you guys did, what were the results that you guys saw with regards to Black Friday with your clients. So can you elaborate a bit? How did you prepare to Black Friday? How were the results in opposing to what you expected? Was it better, worse? What did you see in this Black Friday?
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting year compared to the last few. Definitely from the attribution, then that just kind of caused everything else to be a little bit more expensive. But it was, I would say 95%, everyone crushed it. Everyone had a great month. This is where they're supposed to be making their money, and they did. And then I was also telling you, there's a couple new clients who don't exactly have their offer dialed in. They still saw results. It wasn't, 6-7 figures like some of these other brands, but they started to get a little bit more momentum. So it's very hard to compete. So I think it kind of comes with, they don't tell you this, but, your ad accounts, they kind of build a relationship with these platforms. And the more you're running, the more data you're sending through, you're building like a strong relationship saying like, this account's good. They're doing like best practices. So in some cases, you might get served a little bit better, especially when you're, in a very competitive week. So I'd say, at least 2 of our brands, we had record-setting months. One of them reached $3 million for the month. That particular brand, I mean, we've been doing $1 million a month since February. And to give you an idea, last year, we were probably doing more around 200,000 a month. So that one isn't a good example of like, we got it dialed in. We figured out what products worked. It's an apparel store. So we planned certain drops. And, we just kept utilizing our lists, the data, great targeting, changing up all the creative all the time. It worked out really well, and hopefully they're really happy.
Awesome. And
then there's a couple. Yeah.
It sounds like they should be.
Yeah, they're having a great year overall. And that one, I pulled back spend too, just because I've noticed a little bit when you pull back spend, you throttle the account a little bit, and Facebook's still trying to find you those purchases. You can't always necessarily buy out your competition. You got to just accept that there's a finite number of people out there who want your product. So you can't force it. So you want to find that sweet spot. You want to know what you're willing to budge. So I think that one, we were still around 7 to 10 return on ad spend. Previous years, it would be higher only because of reporting, but just to play it safe, we didn't want to like push it too hard. And then there was other accounts where, these guys were happy with, a few $1,000s a day for the week. Like we were saying, it was very competitive. Prices were just higher. The CPMs were higher. CTRs were lower. CPCs were higher. So just in general, it is a traffic game, and the traffic was more expensive.
Awesome. I have many questions, but let's start with the growth that you saw with the first apparel brand that you mentioned. So, can you walk us through with what you guys did during this year in order to achieve such an amazing growth? Was it like more products, different type of media buying? What exactly do you attribute this growth to?
Oh yeah, so for this particular account, I honestly say we simplified everything, and we gave the people what they wanted, right? I've had this, I've been working with this brand for 3 or 4 years now. So, we tested out products, we saw which ones sold really well, we saw which ones stayed on the shelves, and we kind of collected that data. So this year it was just more like every launch, it was more coordinated, planned, and dialed in. Since January, we had, same day of the month, every month. This particular person also catered his audience with a lot of content. So we stayed very relevant on YouTube, on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all of it. So he was still relevant in the space. He became an authority figure in this fitness apparel space, basically. And then list building. I think from the attribution issues we're seeing, you really got to utilize your email. And for us in particular, SMS. I think one SMS did about $350,000 for us.
Nice.
That was for like one message. So I think a lot of e-com owners, you probably as well, you look at some of these apps and you're like, I don't know if I want to spend that $1,000 or $2,000 a month. I'm not sure if it's going to come. In this case, we slowly trickled it in. We perform plenty of list cleaning. So if you're not engaged, or you might just be a bot, or maybe you're another brand just trying to, spy on us a little bit, we're regularly trying to remove you and keep people fresh who are clicking, who are engaged, who are actually genuinely interested. And it's almost just been a snowball effect. And then for the ad account, we keep it very simple. For the most part, it's been top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. Very simple targeting. We might do a pre-release just using dynamic creative, just kind of as like a teaser. But other than that, it's usually all post IDs, few carousels. And then I kind of noticed in this particular one, we used models. We used just a regular, really nice photo shoot of the clothing, and just the plain clothing spread out. That worked. That outperformed the lifestyle model pictures almost every time.
Interesting.
So that was, it's also, you're just following the data and see what was working, and that's what was working for us. So we just kind of, again, instead of me, let me test all these model pictures, let me test all these, really fancy creatives that take hours to make, or we have to outsource to. Instead, it was almost a carousel of the product, straight to the point. People don't always want to be sold to, so they just want to see the product, and then you leave it up to them whether or not they want to buy it.
You spoke about a lot of different channels, and I was wondering what is the scope of service that you guys providing, and in this whole operation that you shared, what are you owning and what does the brand owner owns? So for example, the content creation, did you help him with content creation or YouTube channel? Did he go it on his own, or did you help? How do you work together with the brand, and what do you guys as an agency, what is the scope of service that you provide?
So I don't like to spread ourselves too thin, so we can really specialize, and we can be experts in certain fields. So it's mainly that marketing and more so advertising aspect and getting traffic, or paid traffic more specifically. So we specialize in media buying. So we're going to handle, mainly what it has been is Facebook and Google ads. We will venture out to TikTok and Pinterest. We will run YouTube on Google, but still Facebook, Instagram, and, Google are, the top dogs out there, and they are producing. If you have the right niche, it's going to be, Pinterest can work. And in some cases, TikTok can work. Like we were saying before, it's great for brand awareness. And I don't think that platform's going anywhere. So it's one of those things, you might as well toy around with it, spend a couple bucks and just try and figure out something that's going to work. I let most brands handle the content creation just because I feel like that needs to be an internal thing. It's more creative. It needs to come off more genuine. You don't want to force it out. So in this case, he was just good about staying on it. And for anybody else out there who's trying to figure it out, follow one of the rules of Facebook. Done is better than perfect. Just put stuff out there and see what sticks. So just keep pushing it, because nobody really cares. You do something dumb on a video, no one's going to be talking about it in 20 minutes later, unless you went viral. And in some cases, any press is good press. So I wouldn't worry about that piece. I also let them handle customer service. Only because that's too much back and forth. That should still be an internal thing, so you can keep your branding and your messaging and everything consistent as well. Whether it be, if an order was messed up, what's the protocol here? For example, like Wayfair, you order something and it shows up messed up. They usually just send you a new one and tell you to keep that one. So that's pretty consistent across the board there. So just to avoid any conflict, and so we don't spread ourselves too thin, because that can be a pretty tedious, strenuous task just to do customer service alone. So yeah, customer service, anything related to that. So even in answering like the DMs, we won't really do the content. We won't, do any of the organic posting, but where we specialize is buying ad space and getting them new followers, new subscribers. Basically getting the brand awareness out there, whether it be traffic, or we are going for conversions most of the time. But sometimes to earn that space, and the way that all these apps are updating, you can't just force yourself on there organically anymore. Sometimes you do have to pay for that traffic. Oh, and then also we do email. We'll do Shopify optimizations. We can do funnels, but I feel like those are all very complementary, and we like to take them over. Because once we send traffic to your store and your pop-up isn't optimized, or whatever might be happening after the user clicks, that is really important, so that my ad does convert. I'm sure you've seen it a lot with your e-com brand, so you really don't want to disconnect from click to page.
Quick favor, guys. If you enjoy these shows and have been a listener for quite some time now, we would really appreciate it if you could take the time to give us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or whatever your preferred podcast app may be. Having lots of ratings and audience feedback makes our show become more visible across multiple platforms. And it also supports our mission of helping as many people as possible to become better marketers and better entrepreneurs. So if you're not driving and it wouldn't be dangerous, pause this thing right now and give us an honest review over your podcast app, and we will love you even more than we already do. Thank you for taking the time, and I hope you enjoyed the show. What about pop-ups? Have you changed them lately based on the iOS update? Have you seen any trends? Because some people might overlook this, but I think it's an important aspect, as you mentioned. Yeah,
absolutely. User experience is huge. I think in some cases, the user experience is more important than the creative in your ad. So, how's the page loading? And then for this, pop-ups, we're using pop-ups on almost every website. You also want to give a little something, whether it's like a free PDF. If it's a big brand, then you can move away from discounts. For example, this one that we have been talking about, we used to go, sign up, give us your phone number, you get 10% off code, or 20% off in some cases, which is great. Everybody does that. Eventually, we just stopped having to give discounts, and then we might just run like a raffle. So, the margins look better, and people see like, oh, I could win $500. That's better than 10% off. There's also the opportunity that you get to collect their information, not for anything malicious, of course, but that you get to own that data, and you can create that relationship. So if you like watching my YouTube, you like my products, now you're going to be the first one to know, because in this case, and I know a lot of other brands are experiencing it too, people are selling out of their products, and it's taking a long time to get it back in. So it is like a first come, first serve. In this case, like the apparel isn't going to come out, again and again. It's not like Volcom or O'Neill where they have millions of these shirts. It's a limited buy basis. So if you don't get it while it's coming out, they might run out of your size, or it might just be done completely.
Interesting. And I saw lately is that a lot of stores or store owners are starting to show the pop-ups way earlier in the experience, just to capture the emails earlier, because it's harder, to do the remarketing based on the pixels. So you just try to capture the email way earlier.
So, they kind of go hand in hand, like I was saying. I do think right now that SMS is working a lot better for a lot of these brands. It definitely depends on your demographic and who you're targeting. But email's still working great as well. And like you said, you get to capture their email and you get to build those lists. So now instead of me building lookalikes off of the pixel, I'm just exporting my lists and keeping that updated. So I'm giving Facebook more hard data to look at. And those lookalikes, I usually stack them anyways, but they usually do outperform anything based on the pixel recently.
Do you send the emails to the custom audience and you curate a lookalike from the custom audience?
Yeah, exactly. So again, I don't know if you use like Klaviyo, or even if you're in like an e-com platform like Shopify, you can find, returning customers. You can do customers based off of value. So you can get a really strong list. After a year or two, you have tens of thousands of customers and you can kind of segment them to where they're the strongest.
Sure. This is actually, for me, lookalikes haven't been working. Like the broad targeting and interests are performing lookalikes for like 6 months now, but it's context dependent. Depends on the product, depending on the offer. You can't say that lookalikes are not working in general. But for me, I'm seeing better signals from broad targeting. I would like to ask you about Raffles, because this is something that I haven't done lately. Do you have any suggestion regarding the Raffles? Because it sounds like an interesting move. Also, I saw a lot of brands using like Raffles in order to get more referrals, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, no, the raffle, obviously the conversion rate went down a little bit because we're not giving you an instant like 10% off. And that's usually, you're trying to get those little yeses out of your users once they come to the page. But in this case, instead of 10% off, it's like, hey, sign up and we're going to give you $500 if you win. So people are still converting anyways. Again, you're still getting a little yes. I'll give you a little bit of information. It's all about showing that intent. So they showed the intent by giving you their information and a chance to win a much bigger prize. I guess it is just like the lottery, right? You throw a couple bucks in, just, you're probably going to lose, but there's a chance that you're going to win big. Yeah. So why not? But they're still converting really high. I think it was still above 10%. And I think if we just did the discount, it was maybe 15 to 20. So those were okay, but still, like I said, it helped with the margins, because when you got a lot of people coming through, you got a lot of traffic, that 10% kind of adds up, especially if they have like pretty big orders. So it all depends on your, how your whole business is set up. But the raffles are working out great. It's something that you got to stay on, and then you got to also have to validate too through your social media, basically. Yeah. Because that just further enhances it. It's almost exactly like the lottery does. Hey, we ran this lottery the last month, and Tim from California, he won. Check it out. He's got a $5 million check. Yeah. Same idea on your Instagram. Such and such from Wisconsin, he won the whole supplement bundle. Just so it's like, oh, it is real, because some people might just run it and just like leave it there, so it seems a little scammy. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I just saw like a brand that I'm spying on. They sent me an email that if I refer free customers, so I can join the raffle. So this, in my opinion, it's also a very smart move, because only you can be part of the raffle of like the lottery only after you refer free customers. So for them, it's basically a great way to get referrals. I'm not sure if people really referred, but it's smart strategy in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent idea. I'm actually working with an agency in California right now, and he specializes in that. And he came up with a messenger bot automation. Same idea. They posted, they're like, hey, win this raffle. Pretty much exactly what you're saying, but it's done in the Instagram DMs, basically. Subscribe, tag somebody in it. And then if you want to double down, give us your email. And then if you want to add another ticket into the raffle, give us your phone number. So it's a great data collection technique, and also just kind of getting your brand awareness out there too, because I think Venmo's been doing it a lot, where you have to share their post and you just see random stories with the Venmo, and it's like, hey, we're just giving away money, but then it turns into like a self-perpetuating system where you kind of get all this free press.
This sounds great. And have you worked lately with ManyChat or Messenger bots? Because you mentioned this, and I'm wondering if you guys did anything with Messenger bots in Black Friday?
Nothing for Black Friday. I haven't done too much with Messenger bots recently, outside of, just setting up for regular customer service. Before we would do like maybe health quizzes or like a nutrition guide, basically. You answer a few questions, and then based on your results, we'll tell you a little bit about your health, and then what products may or may not help you, or in just little advice or tips. It might give you like a free guide or PDF. Purposes just to obviously inch them towards those little yeses and then purchasing, but you're also providing value. So it's not like, you're just trying to get something out of me. It's like, no, you kind of taught me something as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, in my opinion, Messenger bots used to work way better when you had the add to Messenger under the add to cart by default. In Shopify stores, they used to have like by default, it was added, the Messenger profile of the customer was added to your Messenger list. It was by default, but like until like 2 years ago, and then it changed, and everybody, I think that a lot of people are neglecting Messenger bots because of this, because basically customers are not joining the Messenger list. But in the past, Messenger bot was creating for me more money than the cart abandonment flow in the email, because I just use like the cart abandonment for the Messenger. But these days, I don't see very often people using Messenger bot. And this is why I asked you, because I was wondering, because you mentioned this.
Yeah, no, ours were slowing down as well. We had one of the apps on there for all these stores, and it just kind of created its own flow inside Facebook Messenger specifically for this one. And it just wasn't really worth the cost at the time. And we could just focus our efforts elsewhere that was kind of producing a little bit more revenue, converting a lot higher too. But yeah, I think it's like what you're saying. You can't collect as much data. It is like time consuming to build out all of those flows and all the answers and responses. They can break pretty easy too. So pretty much I think once they change, like it's all these new laws and updates and rules we got to play by. So I think that just kind of pushed it aside. But I know a lot of people are utilizing it, and it's crushing for them. So I'm not saying rule it out.
It's also very fun to build these quizzes. I mean, at least in ManyChat, you can like really build like different conditions and quizzes. So it's fun. You can geek out on this, but at the end of the day, if the ROI isn't there, so there's no point.
Oh yeah, no, they're fun. So a few things we have done is we use Typeform, and then we would create a couple quizzes and questionnaires, because they do have some really good dynamic questions and flows that you can use in there. And then we usually shoot that over to the people who are already users, who are customers, or in our subscription list, because they're already warm, right? They already know you. So it's just kind of like, hey, take this quick quiz. I mean, we've all done it off of BuzzFeed, right? Like, which Game of Thrones character are you? And you've done it with them. So why not with a company that you're already, have a relationship with, basically?
So when you send out this, I used to use the Typeform as well. It's a great tool. But when you send this out, so what are you looking to get? Is it more segmenting of your customers, or more like just giving them fun and creating some engagement? Or are you trying to create a quiz to understand and then recommend a specific product? What did you guys do, and what did you see was working?
Yeah, so it's a mix of both. So I was working with one health keto cake store, and they basically just kind of wanted to get some feedback, which is hard to get, right? People only usually leave reviews or tell you how they feel if it's negative, which we all see. It's terrible. So it's hard to get a good review. So, hey, come take this quiz for 5 minutes. Tell us your thoughts on our brand and the products. And we'll give you like a 10 or 15% off code at the end of it. And it's going out to the warm audiences anyways. So it's like, you're going to buy this anyways. I'll give you a discount code. Just give me 5 minutes of your time. Tell me what products you like. Tell me what you liked about them, or tell me what you didn't like, and, which ones specifically were bad or good, or, rank them. And then there's also the same idea as whether it be lead generation for, like the health quiz. Hey, what are you trying to do with your physique? Are you trying to cut down on weight? Are you trying to build muscle? And then based on that, and then, you might push them to a custom funnel that says like, get this supplement bundle with protein and pre-workout and a free shaker, and we'll give you like a 30-day guide. So again, you're still providing value to them at a discount. And you're getting those little yeses out of them, but you don't want to be that person, but ultimately everyone's going for the conversion, right? It's like, you do want the feedback, and down the road, you're just trying to get the conversion.
Exactly.
As a marketer, the brands are trying to provide the value and provide something great, whatever it might be. But I'm sure you're the same way. When we're working with these brands and you're hitting all these buttons and levers, like, it's very rewarding to see a quiz or an email flow work out and convert high. You're like, oh, they like what I put out there. Cool.
Yes. And a quote that I like with regards to what you said about the negative feedback. So there's a quote that says, a happy customer will tell his friends, an angry customer will tell the world.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we see that all the time. Especially, I'm sure, when you run ads, you see it in the comments. I know we have, dozens, if not hundreds of orders on some of these accounts every day. Only comments on there, all negative. Everyone's being critical. It's just an interesting internet troll world. But the good thing about that is that Facebook doesn't see comments as good or bad. It's engagement overall. So again, that kind of self-perpetuates it, and it just says, hey, people are engaging on this. So, you get cheaper traffic out of it. So, I mean, unless they're really discrediting you or, you really screwed something up, don't hide them, just leave them there. And, people will battle it out in the comments. Just, however, people who like Coke versus Pepsi, they'll battle it out and they'll buy whichever one they want.
Awesome. Great. Well, we already covered a lot of stuff. This was a very wide and broad-ranging conversation. Is there anything that you would like to cover that we didn't speak about that you would like to share with the listeners?
Nothing in particular. Just, again, one of those things like put yourself out there. If you're the e-com owner, take some chances, get emotion out of it. Plan the work the plan, and don't always follow your gut. Because, if you're running ads and everything and you think things are going bad, whatever's going on this week isn't going to be the same as next week. So keep your plan simple, stick to it, be organized when you're testing everything. And then, give yourself a fighting chance, basically. Just a lot of the people I've worked with, they're like, I don't know what to do. I can't do this. We're not seeing anything. And then within 2 days, it's almost instantaneous. So it's nice to see their faces light up, or them to be ecstatic and excited about their brand again. So, keep it simple.
Awesome. This is a great way to finish. And I also saw that you mentioned a lot during the conversation, the small yeses. So I'm pretty sure you're big on getting the small yeses from the customers. So you mind just explaining about this concept, because for listeners that don't know this concept?
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, especially if you don't know the person, from the pop-ups to the ads, everything's a small yes, whichever way you want to look at it. You're pitching your angle and your product in the ad. They click it. That's a yes. They go to your website. Hey, you want 10% off? Yeah, I click the button, then another form pops up. What's your name and your email? You enter it in. That's another yes. So it's one of those things, they say it's like 20, 30 touch points before someone's going to make a purchase from your brand. So those are all little touch points, and we're getting all little small yeses showing higher intent. So by the time they get to the time to purchase, they already showed all this intent. Why would they pull back now? So then you might need to dive into your offer or anything. But yeah, it's about getting those small yeses, whether, yes, I want to watch your YouTube video. Yes, I'll follow you on social media. Yes, I'll give you my information. Finally, yes, I will buy your product.
It's basically also creating like some sort of a positive momentum.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. Great. Where can people find more about you guys, reach out to you, hire your services? I know that you guys are offering a free strategy call at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. We do strategy calls. Some people just need a second set of eyes. And like I said, as us being marketers and in this world, I get to see so many different brands and accounts. I get to spend a ton of money. And we're just always paying attention. So if you're running a brand, you don't always get to see that. You might need help, or you might just need to outsource it, which is where we also specialize, and we love working with brands. So if you do want to set up a call or just kind of check us out, you can go to greatmedia.com. So GRAYT. I always have to spell it out because it's the pun. You never know. But greatmedia.com. There's a big red button on there. There's a Calendly link. Set up a call. If you're having any type of problems, or you just kind of need a second set of eyes, or just kind of inspiration, we can dedicate 30 minutes, kind of look over your account and everything, give you a quick audit, and just give you some direction to go.
Awesome. Great. Sounds amazing. Thank you so much, Kenny. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for sharing all these insights from different brands. It's very interesting to hear the insights from someone with such a broad perspective of different ad accounts and different verticals. So for me, it was very interesting and fun.
Awesome. No, I had a great time. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Bye-bye. Take care. Hi guys, this is Yaron again. Just a few more things before you take off. Number one, if you want to learn more about e-commerce and marketing, make sure you check out our YouTube channel, which is called EcomXFactor Official. Number 2, check out our Facebook group, which is called EcomXFactor Marketing and E-commerce Mastermind. This is a great place to ask questions and connect with other business owners. And last but not least, if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to share it with your friends and colleagues, plus leave a review at your favorite podcast app.